This video is part of the NEXGROW Academy movement, driving professional learning and innovation in mining, construction, and engineering to shape a safer, more sustainable future. Today, we define mine closure, a critical phase in the mining life cycle that marks the transition from operations to transformation. It's the process of making a site safe, stable, and free from pollution by decommissioning infrastructure, managing waste and tailings, rehabilitating the land, and addressing the social and economic impacts on local communities. Historically, mine closure was often an afterthought, leading to abandoned sites with long-lasting environmental and social consequences. However, in recent decades, there has been a growing recognition of the importance of responsible mine closure for sustainable development. This shift has been driven by various factors, including stricter environmental regulations, increased community expectations, and a growing awareness of the long-term liabilities associated with abandoned mines. Responsible mine closure aims to minimize the negative impacts of mining and leave a positive legacy for future generations. It involves a holistic approach that considers the environmental, social, and economic aspects of closure throughout the mining life cycle. This includes engaging with stakeholders, developing comprehensive closure plans, securing financial assurances, and implementing effective monitoring and maintenance programs. The significance of mine closure in the mining life cycle cannot be overstated. It is not merely the end of mining operations, but a crucial step towards achieving sustainable development goals. By responsibly managing the closure process, mining companies can minimize environmental damage, support local communities, and contribute to a more sustainable future. Mining is a transformative process, leaving a significant mark on the landscape. But it's important to remember that mining is a temporary land use with a defined life cycle. This life cycle can be divided into 4 distinct phases. Exploration. This initial phase involves identifying and assessing mineral deposits to determine their economic viability. It's like searching for hidden treasure, using geological surveys, drilling, and sampling to uncover the Earth's valuable resources. Operation. Once a deposit is deemed economically viable, the mine enters the operational phase. This is where the real action happens. Extraction, processing, and transportation of minerals. It's a period of intense activity, with a significant impact on the environment and surrounding communities. Closure. As the mine's resources are depleted or become uneconomical to extract, it enters the closure phase. This involves decommissioning and dismantling infrastructure, managing waste and tailings, and rehabilitating the land. The goal is to leave behind a site that is safe, stable, and non-polluting. Post-closure. This final phase focuses on long-term monitoring and maintenance of the closed mine site. It ensures that the site remains safe and stable over time, and that any residual environmental impacts are managed effectively. Understanding the mining life cycle is crucial for responsible mine closure. By planning for closure from the very beginning, mining companies can minimize the environmental and social impacts of mining and ensure a sustainable future for the land and its people. This proactive approach to closure planning is essential for achieving sustainable development goals and leaving a positive legacy for future generations. By integrating closure considerations into the early stages of mine planning, companies can make informed decisions that minimize environmental and social impacts throughout the mine's life cycle. This approach aligns with the concept of designing for closure, where closure objectives are considered from the outset, influencing project design and decision-making. It also allows for progressive reclamation, where disturbed areas are rehabilitated as mining progresses, reducing the environmental footprint and providing early benefits to communities. Ultimately, this proactive approach ensures that mine closure is not an afterthought, but an integral part of responsible mining, contributing to a sustainable future for both the environment and society. Mine closure is a multifaceted process that goes far beyond simply ceasing operations and dismantling infrastructure. It's a comprehensive and carefully orchestrated series of actions designed to responsibly transition a mine from its active phase to a closed and repurposed site. This transition involves addressing a wide range of environmental, social, and economic considerations to ensure the long-term safety, stability, and sustainability of the site and its surrounding environment. Environmentally, mine closure involves mitigating and remediating the impacts of mining activities, such as water pollution, soil degradation, and habitat loss. This can include implementing water treatment systems, stabilizing waste rock piles and tailings facilities, and revegetating disturbed areas. The goal is to restore the land to a state that is safe, non-polluting, and can support a beneficial post-mining land use. Socially, mine closure can have significant impacts on local communities that have relied on the mine for employment and economic activity. Responsible closure involves addressing these impacts through economic diversification, job retraining programs, and community engagement initiatives. It's about ensuring that the end of mining doesn't mean the end of livelihoods and well-being for local residents. Economically, mine closure is a major financial undertaking. It involves not only the costs of physical closure activities, but also the long-term costs of monitoring and maintaining the site. Financial assurance mechanisms, such as bonds or trust funds, are often required to ensure that sufficient funds are available to cover these costs, even if the mining company is no longer in operation. Let's break down the key components of mine closure: decommissioning and demolition. This initial step involves safely and systematically shutting down mining operations and dismantling infrastructure that is no longer needed. It's like carefully disassembling a complex machine, ensuring that all components are disposed of or repurposed responsibly. Waste and tailings management. Mining operations generate substantial amounts of waste rock and tailings, the finely ground rock left over after extracting valuable minerals. Proper management of these materials is crucial to prevent long-term environmental risks. This involves shaping and stabilizing waste rock piles, capping tailings facilities to prevent erosion and water contamination, and implementing measures to treat contaminated water. Land rehabilitation and reclamation. This transformative stage focuses on restoring the land to a usable and self-sustaining state. It involves recontouring the landscape to blend with the natural surroundings, improving soil quality to support vegetation growth, and planting native trees, shrubs, and grasses to create a thriving ecosystem. The ultimate goal is to create a landscape that can be used for a variety of purposes, such as agriculture, recreation, or conservation. Social and economic transitioning. Mine closure can have profound impacts on communities that have grown dependent on the mine for employment and economic activity. Social and economic transitioning aims to soften these impacts by helping communities diversify their economies, create new job opportunities, and invest in infrastructure and services that will support a sustainable future. Mine closure is a complex journey, but it's also an opportunity. By embracing a responsible and holistic approach to closure, we can transform former mine sites into valuable assets that benefit both people and the planet. Mine closure is not an ending, it's a new beginning. The photo of Bannock as a ghost city in US is a reminder of the consequences of neglecting mine closure. For decades, many mines were simply abandoned when their resources were exhausted, leaving behind a legacy of environmental devastation and social upheaval. Abandoned mines, often referred to as orphan or legacy mines, pose significant risks and liabilities that can persist for generations. Let's talk about environmental liabilities of mining. Water pollution, acid mine drainage, AMD, and metal leaching from exposed waste rock and tailings can contaminate rivers, streams, and groundwater, harming aquatic life and posing risks to human health. Soil degradation. Mining activities can strip away topsoil and leave behind barren land that is prone to erosion and unable to support vegetation. Air pollution, dust from tailings, and waste rock piles can be carried by the wind, causing respiratory problems and other health issues. Habitat loss. Mining operations can destroy or fragment natural habitats, leading to biodiversity loss and disrupting ecosystems. In addition to environmental liabilities, there are some social liabilities. Economic hardship. Mine closures can lead to job losses and economic decline in communities that have become dependent on the mine. Social disruption. The loss of jobs and economic activity can lead to social problems such as increased crime, substance abuse, and mental health issues. Health impacts. Exposure to environmental contaminants from abandoned mines can have long-term health consequences for local communities. Loss of cultural heritage. Mining can damage or destroy sites of cultural or historical significance, leading to a loss of community identity and heritage. The costs of addressing these environmental and social liabilities can be enormous, often falling on taxpayers and governments. In some cases, the cost can exceed the economic benefits generated by the mine itself. The legacy of abandoned mines is a sobering reminder of the importance of responsible mine closure. By planning for closure from the outset and ensuring that adequate financial resources are available, we can avoid creating new environmental and social liabilities and ensure a sustainable future for mining communities and the environment. The approach to mine closure has undergone a remarkable transformation over the past century. What was once a story of neglect and abandonment has evolved into a carefully planned and regulated process. In the early days of mining, closure was often an afterthought. Mines were simply abandoned when their resources were depleted, leaving behind a legacy of environmental damage and social disruption. Mine closure practices have evolved significantly over the years. Let's take a look at this journey through time. Early 20th century, mine abandonment was common practice, with little regard for environmental or social consequences. Mid-20th century, the first environmental regulations emerged, requiring basic reclamation efforts at some mine sites. 1970s, the environmental movement gained momentum, leading to stricter regulations and increased public awareness of the impacts of mining. 1990s, the concept of sustainable development emerged, emphasizing the need for responsible resource management and long-term planning for mine closure. 2000s, international standards and guidelines for mine closure were developed, promoting best practices and a more holistic approach to closure. 2010s, present. The focus on mine closure has intensified, with a growing emphasis on social and economic aspects, community engagement, and the use of innovative technologies for reclamation. This evolution has been driven by a combination of factors, including stricter regulations. Governments around the world have implemented stricter environmental and social regulations, requiring mining companies to plan for and finance mine closure. Increased community expectations. Communities are demanding greater accountability and transparency from mining companies, expecting them to minimize negative impacts and contribute to local development. Financial liability. Mining companies are increasingly recognizing the financial risks associated with abandoned mines, including potential legal liabilities and reputational damage. Technological advancements. New technologies and approaches are emerging that enable more effective and sustainable mine closure practices. Today, responsible mine closure is a global priority. It's about recognizing that mining is a temporary land use and that the land must be restored and repurposed for the benefit of current and future generations. It's about creating a positive legacy, not a toxic one. The vision of responsible mine closure is a commitment to transforming former mine sites into valuable assets that benefit both people and the planet. Responsible mine closure is a holistic approach that goes beyond simply meeting regulatory requirements. It's about minimizing the negative impacts of mining and maximizing the positive outcomes for the environment, communities, and the economy. To achieve responsible mine closure, mining companies should focus on 6 key principles: minimize, reduce the footprint of mining operations, and minimize waste generation through efficient practices and innovative technologies. Mitigate, implement measures to prevent or reduce environmental impacts such as water treatment, erosion control, and biodiversity conservation. Reclaim, restore the land to a safe, stable, and productive state by recontouring the landscape, improving soil quality, and establishing vegetation cover. Repurpose, transform the closed mine site into a valuable asset for the community by repurposing land and infrastructure for new uses, such as agriculture, recreation, or renewable energy. Monitor. Implement long-term monitoring programs to ensure the effectiveness of closure activities and the ongoing health of the environment. Engage. Involve stakeholders throughout the closure process to ensure their concerns are addressed and that closure outcomes align with community needs and expectations. By embracing these principles, mining companies can minimize the environmental and social footprint of their operations and create a positive legacy that extends beyond the life of the mine. Responsible mine closure is an investment in the future. It's a commitment to responsible resource management and a testament to the positive impact mining can have on our world. If you are interested to get updates on this course, follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to the NEXGROW Academy newsletter.